All right, I'm gonna talk about Babylon. I'm gonna do a review on it. This movie was 3 hours and 9 minutes long, and it should have been cut down to at least 2 hours and like 20 minutes at the most. This movie had a lot of nudity, a lot of sex scenes, a lot of drug use, a lot of suicides was going on in this movie, and they even made a trumpet player put on blackface so he can look like all the other black guys in the orchestra or the band. That was crazy. And this thing took place like in the 1920s. This movie, the 1920s, 1930s, and there was a lot of crazy stuff going on in Hollywood at that time. Yeah, there was a lot of drinking, partying. This movie kind of reminded me of Great Gatsby and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because Brad Pitt was in that movie. It's kind of the same movie almost, like a period piece. That movie took place in like the 60s and 70s. This movie took place in the 20s and 30s. Like I said, this movie should have been cut down. This movie shouldn't have been no damn 3 hours and 9 minutes. That's too long. The acting in this movie was good. You know, it was a movie within the movie. They was on like a movie set, shooting different movies at the same time. It was cool. And basically this movie was about, like, back in the 20s, they were doing silent films. They wasn't doing, the talking films. So they transitioned to the talking films in the 30s. And Brad Pitt character, Jack Conrad, he was a good silent actor. But then when he, got to doing the talking movies, he wasn't so good. And he ended up killing himself at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert. The Margot Robbie character, Nellie Leroy, she was just a crackhead, a cokehead, alcoholic. She had mental issues. She ended up getting bit by a snake. Well, her dad was drunk and saying that he can fight a snake, and he ended up passing out. So she wanted somebody to fight the snake, and she ended up doing it herself, which was funny. But she ended up dying at the end of the movie. She was only 34 years old. I don't know what happened to her. She probably had a drug overdose. Then they had this Mexican character named Manny. He was trying to get into the movies. He ended up getting this break, but he ended up trying to help Nellie Leroy, Margot Robbie's character, and she had like some gambling debts, and he was using one guy was on a set, ended up getting some fake money and giving it to the person that she owed, and they ended up killing him, and they ended up telling the Manny guy that he needed to get out of town. He was trying to save Margot Robbie's character, and one of Jack Conrad's friends that was on the set with him, he ended up killing himself over a female. So there was a lot of dying going on in this movie. I didn't understand that. Like, why would somebody kill themselves like that over a female? It was I forgot the guy's name, but he had plenty of problems during the movie. He was like puking, and he got his head stuck in the toilet. And I'm like, dude, why would you kill yourself over some damn woman that you can go out there and replace her? I understand that part. But like I said, this movie was 3 hours long. I went to the movie at 11:15, didn't walk out that damn movie until 2:30, 2:40. And I was was only 2-3 people in the movie theater when I watched this movie. And it came on, I went on the Friday night. But this movie get a 5 out of 10 for me. It's way too long. It's a good, when it first come on, it's a good movie, but then it drags in the middle, and then the end is just tragic. Jack Conrad, Brad Pitt's character, he ended up killing himself because he couldn't cut it no more being an actor. He couldn't take it. And his time was up, and he was getting old, and that was a sad part of the movie. And the moral of the movie was basically just, keep your head up. These people in Hollywood be having all these problems, these drug problems, these alcohol problems. and some of them end up committing suicide. They shine a light on that. And it shows you how crazy Hollywood is and how it'll eat you up and spit you out. That's what's crazy about Hollywood. And Jack Conrad, Brad Pitt's character, he couldn't, like I said, he couldn't take the fact that he wasn't relevant anymore. And that he was getting old and it was time for him to, pass the torch to the new wave of actors. I guess he didn't want to do that. But this movie's too long. That's my biggest takeaway of this movie. This movie is way too damn long. Oh, 3 hours and 9 minutes. This is terrible. But for the first 2 hours, it's worth it. But the last hour just drags. And then at the end of the movie, they showed this montage of all these different things they could have cut out the movie. They should have cut all that out the movie at the end. They should have did without that. But like I said, this movie is a 5 out of 10. Like I said, this movie has a lot of nudity, a lot of partying going on, a lot of smoking. These people were smoking the hell out of cigarettes this whole movie. I'm like, damn, a lot of drug use. It shows you the underworld of Hollywood. It's basically what this movie is for, to show you the underworld of Hollywood back then. It's probably the same now or even worse. But that's been my review of Babylon. Just wait till this movie come out on digital. You can rent. It's a one-time watch. If you got 3 hours and 9 minutes to spare, you go ahead and watch this movie. But that's been my review of Babylon. Church, tabernacle, and preach. I'm a holler. Thank you.